Good morning, good afternoon. It's morning my time. Welcome to Decker Truck Line's YouTube channel. We are talking about sprains, strains, and all of that not so fun stuff to go through. So it's about 40%, depending on what year you're looking at for averages, but about 40% of illnesses, injuries that take drivers off the road and obviously require time to heal are caused by either a sprain or a strain. So there's got to be a way to prevent that, and that's what we're going to talk about. Ways to prevent it, ways to help you heal from it, and what else? Anything else we can think of? Exercises to help you heal from it as well. So, hey, Mudflap, how you doing? Are you ready to join in? All right, so hopefully you can see this. My YouTube screen live is a little bit different than Facebook, so it's not as wide. So we'll try this. While we talk, yes, awesome, okay. While we talk, we're going to do some of the exercises. So I may not do the best job of describing it, but you can hopefully see what we're doing. Have you guys sprained your ankle before, or sprained your wrist, hurt your back? I know back problems are very common in the trucking industry. A lot of it is just that you're sitting constantly and with that constant jarring motion on your back. Now, all of our trucks have the air ride seats. Most of them do, as far as I know, at least for the drivers, when it comes to the industry itself, but all of ours do. The new ones that we've gotten, even the passenger seats have it. So that's pretty handy. But that's one thing that will really jar somebody's back, so that constant movement. But when you're bending down, when you're lifting, when you're getting up into things, you can strain your back in the simplest manners. I have a slip disc. When I bend down to pick up the smallest item, I hurt myself. And most of the time, the reason I do that is because I don't lift my chin. I bend down, and I don't even want to do it for you because I don't want to hurt myself. It happens that easily. But I bend down to pick up something like a toy or a shoe, go to put my shoes on. That's terrible. I go to put my shoes on. I pick it up and I drop my chin instead of picking up in a proper manner. So a proper manner would be keeping my chin up, keeping my shoulders back and my chest forward, and bending at the knees and at the hips so that my knees are above my heels, not beyond my toes, and that my hips are going back, just like you're sitting in a chair. Hey, Anna. So, for example, if I'm gonna sit on this bench here, I am putting the weight on my heels, not on my toes. My chin is up, and I mean I'm sitting down, right? I'm almost missing the chair, but I'm sitting down, and this is the form that basically you want to take every time you lift anything. And then when you come back up, your chest is up, your chin is up, your shoulders are back. So that's what you want to do, whether you're picking up the smallest item or you're picking up a heavier item. And know your strengths, know your abilities. Just like any athlete would, you need to know your limitations. So if I go to pick up a box that looks pretty decent in size, it doesn't look too big. So I go to pick this up. We're going to use this one as an example, even though it's not a box, but it's a bench. If I go to pick this up, I am going to bend at my knees properly in order to pick it up. If I feel that it is too heavy, if I get down here and I feel that this is too heavy to lift, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go ask for help. I'm going to go get a dolly, maybe a forklift, depending on the size and who's available to help. So don't be afraid. Don't let your ego get in the way and not ask for help. Now, however, if it is something that I can lift, I feel comfortable lifting, then I'm going to go ahead and do the proper form. If you have a back brace, a support that you can put on in order to help you, awesome. Use it. That's only going to help your back even that much more. So again, I'm putting the weight in my heels, and I'm going back. My chest is up, my shoulders back, and then I lift. When I lift, I get caught in everything, but when I lift, I keep it close to my body. You see the distance between the weight itself, the box itself, and how far it is from my body. It's either on myself or fairly close. I'm not lifting it out to here. I'm not going to carry it all over the place this far out. That's going to strain my body. It's going to strain my upper body right here, my core. Well, we don't want it to, because if I am pushing myself beyond the limit, which I would be if I was carrying something of any weight out this far, then I'm going to strain myself. If I'm reaching too far, flatbeds are a great example. If you are a flatbed driver and you're trying to throw a tarp well above your head, which is pretty darn common, then you could very well or very likely strain yourself when you're throwing it over. Or maybe it's hooked on something, you're trying to unhook it. So you're on your tippy toes, and you, by the way, I hope you have proper foot gear. I'm in my socks right now because I want to be able to show you some of the stretches with your feet. And I want to make sure that you can see what my feet are doing. But my point is, when you're working, make sure that you have the proper foot gear. Boots are great because they lace up higher, and they're going to be more supportive around the ankle than just a regular tennis shoe. Definitely no flip flops, right? So when you're up here on your tiptoes and you're reaching for something, whether you're trying to unhook it, maybe it's caught on a piece of lumber, or you're just trying to shift it over, don't stretch beyond your limit. Okay? If I'm on my tippy toes like this, that's beyond my limit because I'm stretched as much as I can be. Instead, get something sturdy that you can stand on and have a better access to. Obviously, you don't have my head anymore, but cut my head off. Anyways, so you're at a vantage point at this time. If it's over your shoulders, again, any weight at all, that's too much. Try and keep the weight right in front of your chest, right in front of your shoulders. Once it goes beyond your shoulders, it's getting too much weight, too much of a strain, or a strain is possible. So try to avoid that. I am too far away from the screen, so I can't see a whole lot, but it looks like Anna has got it all handled. If you have any questions or if you want to know any additional information, go ahead and read the chat section because Anna's going to keep it alive so that you can kind of see some step-by-step, copy and paste things that you can do to prevent and work with sprains and strains. When I say work with, I'm not saying power through, but ways to help you heal quicker from that. Is this echoing in there? Because I feel like I'm echoing. All right, I'm dealing with it. I'm powering through. But again, if you're doing flatbed or if you're reaching for anything whatsoever, make sure that you have something sturdy to stand on in order to get all of your power in a more confined area. Okay? And also with reaching, one thing that I mentioned yesterday too is when you're moving an item that is more compact, like this to me is fairly compact. It's not much wider than my own hips and my own shoulders. So carrying this and having some weight to it isn't too bad for me. However, if this was twice its size and length, there's no way that I could carry it personally because that's too much weight and I'm straining my arms to reach this far out. Mudflap says, what can I do for my shoulder blade muscles? I have strained my left shoulder muscle. Okay, so a couple of things. Is this one you're talking about right here? Right over your scapula? This one there? I'd like to know if that's the one. Before I start. Yes, okay, cool. A couple of things. Where's my little handy dandy? So a couple of things on strains. Now you need to be careful when you have any strains. You always want to ice them. So when you first do it, do a rotation. So you've got icing for 10 minutes off, and do this for about the first 24 or first hour or so. So icing for 10 minutes, take it off for 10 minutes. Ice for 10 minutes, take it off. I would get some ibuprofen personally. Of course, that's something that you're going to want to check with your doctor. But that's what I would do if it's a strain on your shoulder. That's a hard one to have compression wrap around. But if you can, awesome. There are some braces that you can get that can put some weight on it. But if you can wrap it in any way, do that. All right? And then continually ice it. Now, after the first 24 hours of doing rotation of icing, obviously the first hour is going to be the most crucial. Then you can do a heat and ice rotation, which is probably my favorite part. A heat and ice rotation. And the other thing is if you have a strain or maybe you feel that it might be a strain, these rollers are great. And I don't necessarily roll on them a whole lot, but I do put pressure on it. So if you put this up against the wall or even on the floor and you lean back on it, and it depends on the amount of strain that you have, but if you lean back on it and you're basically putting your weight on that exact spot, it's just sit it there. Don't be rolling it at first, just sit it there so the pressure, and that's gonna just kind of push that pressure out so it doesn't hurt so much. That's usually for knots, and I know a lot of people get confused with strains, excuse me, and knots, and sometimes these can help in relaxing muscles around it so that the strain can get back to where it needs to be. Because a strain is really an overstretching the muscle. But this one here, these are, I think, very helpful in that manner, that they can help you relieve some of that pain. Another way to stretch those, and again, a strain is a stretch, so you don't want to keep stretching your muscle, but if you have a pain in it and you feel like you need to stretch it, if you get into a child's pose, which this is a tabletop position. If you stretch out your hands and bring your butt to your feet, this is a child's pose. Keep your head down and just hold it for a 30 count, full 30 seconds. And then you'll feel that stretch right there. But try not, if you have strained it, then that stretch is going to probably exacerbate it. So you'll want to do the rotation of the ice, ice on, ice off, and the undercover. And if you can put the compression, awesome. So hopefully that answered your question. Oh, let's see. Yep, there you go. Anna's got you covered there. You can buy those rollers. Oh goodness, you can buy those rollers all over. Shields, TJ Maxx and Ross have them, which I love the price there. So TJ Maxx, Ross, I know Walmart has it. Amazon has a whole bunch of options. The one that I have has nodules on it. These nodules kind of dig in a little bit deeper. I have another one somewhere around here that does not have nodules. I can't find it, but it's smooth. And both of them are really handy. This one's gonna dig a little bit deeper into your muscle than one that is smooth. The smooth ones are definitely a good one to start with, especially if you have a strain. You're probably going to want to use the smooth one before the nodule one, before that one. And they come in different sizes. That's an extra long one. You can get them, like this big and this big as well. And if you don't have one of those, even just using, maybe even the side of your seat or your driver's seat, right at the top of it, you can kind of lean into that a little bit too. But I wonder, I'm trying to think of what else would work for that. If I can even get this out right. Bars like this, they can. You can get all kinds of nodule things that'll work them out. Anti-inflammatory, that's right. But I wouldn't rub it if it's a strain. I would just apply the pressure, but that would be it. Yes, Anna has to remind me, when you have a strain or if you have a sprain, either one of them, do not apply heat at first. So most of us want to go to the heat first because nobody likes ice. Ice is not cool. It's cold. Ice is no fun. So, but it really is going to do, it is going to bring down the inflammation. So ice first. After 24 hours, then you can do the heat. And I always do the ice heat rotation when I sprain my ankle. But when I do the rotation, I keep the compression wrap on in both cases. So I'll have my ice, again, this is after 24 hours. I'll have my ice and I'll wrap it with a compression wrap and I'll elevate it at the same time. So if you're laying in bed, you're out in the bunk, you've got it elevated, you've got the pressure wrap, the compression wrap around it, and you're icing it. I do the same, and ibuprofen. Thank you. Yes, so talking about reducing it, so good point. So Anna was mentioning how to reduce the possibilities of getting a sprain or getting a strain. We did talk about with flatbed, not overstretching yourself, keeping the weight within your limits. Here at Decker, when it comes to our refrigerated freight, it's basically no-touch freight. We do have some, we do have some bread loads that you'll be rolling the carts on and off. So that's really the only type of touch freight that I am aware of here at Decker. So that's about it for the refrigerated division. That being said, when it comes to moving or handling freight, if you've got to move something, talk to lumber, talk to agreement, get a hold of your DM, find out how you need to handle it. But if an item is too big, then get some help. It's better than, if you don't ask for help, you could very likely get hurt. If you're unable to throw chains and you need help throwing the chains, getting those in order, that's about 75 pounds, or could be. So those do get heavy. And our rule on chains, by the way, is you need to know how to do it. Whether or not you're throwing the chains, you're putting the chains on, that's more your call. It's based off of, if the weather and the roads are telling you need to throw them in order to get to a safe area, then do it. But don't just throw them on to get more miles out. You're not going to go very fast. You're not going to get very far with them anyway. So it's a safety thing. Make sure you're putting them on for safety reasons. All right, off of that one. So moving back on to preventing, we talked about bending, the proper stance in lifting. And again, I want your shoulders back. Your hips are going to go back. Your knees are bending, and they're bending above your ankles. They are not going beyond your toes. Once they're beyond your toes, it's too far. That's where your knees can be injured. Also, if you're bending to pick something up, if you're grabbing the chains, this is going to be my chain, by the way. Chain. Might be a little light. But so if I'm going to go grab my chain, and I am facing this way, I'm going to grab my chain. Do you see how my feet rotate? I rotate my feet, and then I bend. So I am bending at the hips, I am bending at the knees, my chest is up, my shoulders back, and my feet are rotating. If I was to just go like this and twist, that's when you can pull, not only hurt your knee, you can injure your knee, but you can also pull and strain your back. And that's where it gets even more dangerous. It takes a long time for backs to heal. And just some of the basic movements that we do, we have to be careful in avoiding back injury. Okay, so again, bending, my feet are moving, my whole body is moving, and I'm not just twisting here, not just twisting at the waist. Okay? All right, so a couple of ways to strengthen your back in order to help prevent is I'm using my band again. You do not need to use your band. You can use basic weights, but let's say we're going to basically work our obliques. So if you've got this core movement to help protect your back, so you've got basically a constant brace around your back is what we're going for. So you can grab on each side of your, can you see this? There you go. You can grab on each side of your band here, or you can grab your band in the middle. It's totally up to you. I like to grab on each side so that I can get more of a resistance. And you're just going to allow your body to slide down on one side. Your arm's going to go straight down on your side as you contract my right side, and then you're going to extend your left. And then as you breathe in and you breathe out, you're going to go to the other side. My shoulders are back. My chest is up. My chin is up. And you're just going back and forth. This is going to strengthen your core, your lower back, without straining your back. Now, if the band is too much, you can lighten up on the band by letting the band go just a little bit down so you're not going as far with it. So in this case, I have no resistance on this side. I have a little bit of resistance on my left side. And then you're just rotating back and forth. So this is going to help strengthen your core. Pilates is a fantastic way to not only strengthen your core and protect your core, your powerhouse, which is what you use for pretty much everything, but it also helps to prevent and help you heal once you have a sprain. There's some basic movements that you can do that are just, I mean, it'll help you heal much faster. It's basically physical therapy. Okay, so that's one way to help your core. Bringing up the Pilates roll up. Hit on this just a little bit. When you're coming down, lengthen your legs, lengthen your arms. I don't have much room right here. Lengthen your arms, and as you roll up, you're gonna roll up vertebrae by vertebrae, and you're gonna breathe out at the same time. You're gonna roll up like a piece of tape. So my vertebrae is gonna come off the ground just like a piece of tape if it was in a circle and you were rolling it between your fingers. Does anybody have that visual? So we're gonna start here. Breathe in, vertebrae by vertebrae, and then sit tall. Now, if you cannot do that without using your hands to start off, that's totally fine. You put your hands by your side, and again, roll up your chin. You don't want it too tight to your chest. You want it like a tennis ball, right about here, so that you're bringing yourself forward, but you do want to make sure that you're doing one vertebrae at a time. Once I get to here, that's when I'm going to start rolling my back. So I've stopped rolling my neck at this point, and I've got basically a tennis ball size between my neck and my chin. And now I'm going to roll forward. So again, vertebrae by vertebrae. Now I didn't do a very good example of using my hands, but as I come back down, I'm going to use my hands this time. Again, starting with the neck and then my upper body. You can just brace yourself with your hands depending on how much you need. And then as you get stronger, you can start to bend your knees. And then you can see that it is harder to do with your knees closer to you. As you can see, my legs rise up. And then you can also raise your knees so that it's in a tabletop position. Your knees are in a tabletop position. So again, rolling up. So that's a C-sit. But those are all things that you can do to strengthen your lower back, your whole core, basically create a girdle around you to help strengthen your back muscles. Okay? If you just hurt yourself, hurt your back, a couple of exercises, basic exercises, stretches that you can do to help get your back in flexible, more relaxed manner are figure 4 exercises, which might not quite seem like it's a back, it's protecting your back, but really it is, because it's your hip flexors. When your hip flexors are tight, they are going to make the muscles in your back tight, and that's when they'll pinch it. You're stringing because you're overcompensating. So the figure 4 is you're making a number 4 with your legs, and you're going to sit tall. As you breathe, you're going to collapse over your leg. When you collapse over your leg, you're leaning with your chest over your leg and stretching beyond. Now I can stretch beyond my foot. You might be here, which is totally fine. My only suggestion on that part is that you are not leaning with your nose. I don't care if your nose or your forehead touch your shin. Does not matter. What matters is that you're stretching properly so that your back is in alignment and you're not going to strain your back just doing the stretch that's supposed to be preventing the strain. So again, you're sitting tall and you're collapsing over. Okay, I am not going like this to put my head on my knees. I have no desire. I don't care if my head goes to my knees. If you can get your chest to your knees, that's fantastic. But you're leading with your chest. And then you hold every stretch. I would prefer you hold for 30 seconds, at least 15 seconds for every stretch to have any sort of benefit. Okay, and then of course, if you do your right leg, you need to do your left leg. And again, stretch over. These are all exercises that are going to help prevent strains as well as sprains. Also with sprains, one of the most common ways that sprains happen. Now, sprains are when the muscles actually tear, the tendons and the ligaments are actually tearing. If they tear, it's because, well, if you are jumping out of a reefer unit or out of your truck, if you slip going into your truck and you fall poorly on your ankle, basically where your ankle knot, your bone slips. So if you land like this, then very likely you will sprain your ankle. That's common. That's why we do the 3-point contact going in and out of the truck at all times, whether you're going into the trailer or you're going into the truck. 3 points. 3-point contact. Preached and preached constantly. Okay, so now once you've completed the figure 4, there's other levels of the figure 4 that are going to dig a little bit deeper into your hip flexors and create more flexibility in there so that then you're not compensating in your back. These are exercises that I was given by my chiropractor because my back often slips and I do get back strains fairly often. And soon telling you what not to do because I've done that. When you're doing the figure 4 in the bench leg, it's very important that this foot that is over your knee is flexed. If you don't flex this foot, your ankle can slip out of itself, especially if you've sprained it before. What I mean by that is it can pop, and it can, if you don't flex this foot, it doesn't protect your knee like it should. So if you have a flexed foot, your knee is well protected with the muscles and tendons that are protecting that. So your tendons are going to connect your bones and your muscles, and that's right there what you want to be protecting each joint, okay? And then the ligaments are bone to bone. So the more you can bring this foot in, the better, because it's going to be a deeper stretch. But everybody's going to be a little bit different, what you can and cannot do, and you need to know your limitations. You know, it's just you. You don't need to show off for anybody. So you can do it this way. You can bring your foot in, keep your hands back, and bring your foot in. Your chest needs to be high no matter what, and your posture has to be good. If you have poor posture, then this isn't going to work properly. So you can sit like this and have your hands for support, and then you push off on the bottom foot. You can see I'm pushing off on my heel, pushing it back towards me. And that is just going to give you that much deeper of a stretch. Now, if this is hard to hold, which it could very well be, then get back to a wall and use the wall as support as you are flexing this foot and bringing this bottom foot in and pushing with this bottom foot back. Okay, so that's just one more way. Now, once you've done that, of course, again, gotta do your other foot. Well, it doesn't really work for me, but I know that's the suggested way. There we go. This one is a lot tighter. I don't know if you can tell, but this leg is not straight. Well, my hip is not straight on it. So I have to push even more on this knee to go that way in order to get more of a stretch. So that's why I'm leaning into it. But as I lean into it, my back is still tall. I'm still sitting tall. My shoulders are still back. I'm not hunched over. I'm back. And I've got a little bit of a bend in my elbow to protect my elbow from straining, for hyperextending or straining. Okay? Again, I'm pushing off of this foot. So I don't know if you can tell that my toes are not putting pressure on. Okay? So that's another round. Now to go a little bit deeper, you're on your back. And when you roll down onto your back, when you get onto your back, you want to make sure that you are constantly, you're thinking everything through. So as I roll down, again, vertebrae by vertebrae. And if you need the help, then you can do that. You can always turn and then roll over. And so that you're supporting yourself. See how I'm supporting myself instead of just flopping down, because that is going to help protect your back, okay? So I'm laying down, and as I'm laying down, I'm going to, again, make a figure 4. So I've got my foot crossed over, this foot once again flexed, and then bringing my hands through my leg, my figure 4, and I'm pulling this right leg to this right thigh to my shoulder, to my chest, directly back. And as I pull in, I breathe out. And I'm not yanking on it. I'm pulling, gently pulling it in for a safe stretch. Now you can also lengthen your leg and pull forward or pull backwards, I guess. Again, not yanking. It's a gentle pull, but it's still a resistance. You can also go for your toe to give a little bit more of a stretch. Again, it just depends on how flexible you are. I am not, but, and then you need to, once again, do the opposite leg. Flex this foot, I pull it down a little bit so I can get my arm under and through. So you're lacing through and you're pulling in. I flex both feet because it's easier for me. You don't necessarily have to flex this one, this left one, but I flex it because I can't do one without the other. Not well, at least. All right. All those figure 4s are, wait, can you tell how I rolled up? I didn't do a jerky motion, but I used my legs to pull me up. It's another way to safely bring yourself up. Okay, now the pigeon. This one is a bit harder on you, but the more flexibility you have, the more likely you'll be able to do this. And the important thing with the pigeon is that your hips are square to the ground. So you want your hips directly above the ground. As I do this, I will show you. Your back leg is going to be extended back, and you want it to be straight. You could be sitting a foot off the ground or holding yourself a foot off the ground. That's fine. Again, everybody's flexibility is different. Flex your foot, your forward foot. This one is flexed. Once again, this knee is outside of my hips and my shoulders, okay? I'll give you a good view here. It's outside of my hips and my shoulders. And my hands are directly below my shoulders to give myself support. And you can see I am not flexible enough to put myself down. Now, if I was, I would be able to do this and still keep my hips square. But I don't know if you can see this, but my hips are not square at this point. They are square here. And then this back leg is straight. And I can't tell what you can see and what you can't, but back leg is straight behind me and pointed. Okay, again, this one is flexed. So this is a movement. Again, you're going to hold for about 30 seconds and breathe. You're going to shake because your arms are going to get tired. You're basically in a plank stance. If you're not flexible, like me, when you get out, make sure that you're not putting pressure on your ankle when you're lifting yourself out, but that you're using your hand. So when I'm like this, I don't lift my hand first and push off my ankle because that's going to hurt your knee and it could hurt your ankle a lot. So don't do that. Use your hands and release your foot first and then your hands. Okay? And again, opposite leg, I'm going to keep my right leg back. I'm going to flex my front leg, my front foot, and stretch back. So I'm a little more flexible on this end, so I don't have to sit as tall. I'm a lot more flexible because I'm actually touching the ground. My hips are square, my shoulders are square, and again, another 30 seconds. There we go. I got all quiet now. There's so many ways that you can hurt yourself in and around the truck. So just please be safe. And wearing the right equipment is important. So whether you need the support around your waist or around your core to lift anything, make sure you have that belt. If you are, or if there are other means that the company has given you to help move items, use those. Now again, with Decker, we're no touch freight. However, when it comes to flatbedding, that's a lot of hard work. And that's why I say you need to make sure that all of the weight, the resistance that you're doing is within your stronger core area. So don't go beyond your shoulders if you can avoid it. Don't let that weight go that far. All right, again, I'm going to release and extend. There you go. So that's pigeon. And those are just ways that will help your lower back because you are releasing pressure off of your hip flexors. This one's going to seem really, really basic, but it does help a lot. And I'm going to do my best to describe this one because it's actually pretty hard. It's hard to see that anything is happening, but it's hard to do, especially while you're breathing. So first of all, you're going to lay back, all the way back, and if you're going to do it by rolling down, make sure you're doing it slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae. All right? And I want your legs at this point stretched out completely, okay? Your core, I want to make sure that your back is against the ground. So if you can just place your hands behind your back and breathe out and then push your lower back down so that you cannot release your hands, or at least you feel the pressure on your feet or on your lower back and your hands, so that you are in fact touching your lower back. Now, if you don't do that, then your back could be arching. And I don't know if you can see the difference between what I just did, but this is an arched back where it will put strain on your lower back when you're doing these exercises. So put your lower back onto the ground or onto your hands so that you've got that support. A pillow is a great option. I don't have one. Another good option would be if you have another mat that you can roll at. Since I don't have a pillow down here, sounds wonderful by the way right now. But rolling down, and then you've got this to help support your lower back. Okay. Well, this is a little bit too high for me, but that would be one example. Okay. So that out of my way. Back to this position, pushing my lower back down, not shoving my lower back down, but just putting a little bit of pressure on it so that I know that it's against the ground or against my hands. My toes are pointing. I'm going to breathe out, and as I breathe out, I am going to flex my whole core. I'm going to contract my whole core so it's really tight. Like someone's going to punch you in the stomach and you're reacting to that. So holding it, breathing out, and you're going to feel the tightness all the way inside of you, not necessarily just on the outside of your core. You're going to feel it within. Okay? And hold it, and then release. And then do it again. This is just strengthening your inner core and your lower back so that, well, which is part of your core, so that you have the strength to do some of the basic exercises safely and not have to worry about additional strains. Okay, so now at this point, once you've done 5 to 10 of those breaths, and each breath should take about 2 seconds at least. And now bend your knees. So again, you want to make sure that your back is not arched. You're not like this, but that your back is down. I don't necessarily have to put my hands behind my back when my knees are bent. It's a little bit easier, so this might be the best route for you. You're going to do the same thing. Breathe in, contract as you breathe out, and your hips are going to rotate. You're going to have, as you breathe out, when you contract, your hips are going to go. See if I can show you. Breathing in, breathing out, you can see how my hips kind of tilt back up. And release. This is just a way to strengthen your back. So do about 5 to 10 of those. back exercises, okay? All right, so now let's sit up. So Mudflap had asked about shoulder stretches at that point. I'd like to show you a couple shoulder exercises that I think would help you as well. Before you do anything physical, you need to warm up. And a warm up doesn't need to be a 30-minute jog or a 5-minute jog or anything like that. You don't have to run. Squats are a fantastic way to warm up the whole body because you're getting the blood going all the way through. Now there's definitely some arm exercises that you can use and you can either stand up or you can sit on your knees here, but shoulder width apart for your stance, whether you're standing up or you're on your knees. And at this point, I'm gonna flex back my palms, and then I'm gonna do small circles, okay? And then you're just slowly going to open up those circles, make them a little bit bigger, and then stop, and then you're gonna line back up, go small circles the opposite direction, and then you're gonna slowly open them back up, okay? Now you're gonna do the same thing, this time with your wrists down, fingers down. These are gonna really warm up your shoulders. It's also a really good stretch for your wrists. So in the opposite direction. My shoulders get super tired doing this, but it's a really, really good warm up. Okay, and then you can do the same in front. It's like wax on, wax off. Karate Kid. So funny. And then you're going to do the same. And then you can also just rotate your hands and your wrists. Squeezing that. It's just going to warm them up a little bit more. Get in. Squeezing your wrists. That helps to release some of the pain as well. There you go. You can do neck rolls. Be very careful when you roll your neck that you're not going too much. You're going to look one direction, slowly breathe out as you go all the way around. This is a very, very slow motion because your neck can be extremely delicate. Now go the opposite direction. And then you can do at least 2 circles in each direction. And then hold it, looking as if you're looking over your shoulder, but not quite. And again, this is all based off of flexibility. So not everybody will be able to turn their head all the way. Make sure your shoulders are back and you're not starting to shrug them. And then slowly go to your other side. When you are sitting in a truck for as many hours as our over-the-road drivers are, then this can be something that can really start to cause pain. Now look at it like about a 45-degree angle down to your left. Keep your chin tucked. So you want to stretch out your neck, your back, you want to move around as often as possible. So whenever you can take a break, now move over to the opposite side and give 45-degree angle with your chin down towards your chest. Get out, walk around. If you can jog, awesome, but move around, get the blood flowing. Do an extra trip around the truck, make sure everything looks good. Your placards are put where they should be. Your lights are all working. Double duty. Now straight down towards your belly button. There you go. All right, and slowly lift your head. All right, so also sitting down at this point, we're going to do some exercises for your ankles and your hips. So pointing and flexing, which is a very basic movement, can make a world of a difference, whether you're healing from an injury or if you are trying to prevent an injury. So legs straight out in front of you. You're going to start with 1 foot at a time. Relax 1 foot. So I'm going to relax my right foot since it's over here. This leg, this left leg, is going to point, 2 count, and flex for a 2 count. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see how I am sitting tall through all of this? Make sure that you sit tall. Don't shrug your shoulders. The more aware you are of your posture, the stronger your core will be, which will help you all throughout the day while you're sitting in the truck. Well, when you get out, you're standing tall, you're less likely to pinch a nerve, less likely to have a strain, to slip, because you're more aware of your surroundings. You're more attentive. All right, now you're going to do both of them at the same time, still pointing and flexing. If your foot cramps, it's because your muscles in your foot, the ones that are basically, these are my foot muscles. So if I have muscles going up and down, they're basically opposite of each other. If they're cramping, it means they're both contracting or they're both flexed, and they're confused. However, normally what happens is one is going to be contracted or expanded, and the other one's going to be loose. So they're working opposite of each other most of the time. However, when they start to cramp, it's because they get confused. That's when you need to rub it out. That roller that I used earlier is a great example, or a great put that to use. Another good thing is to roll your feet out. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're doing our pointing and flexing, and now we're going to hold our flex, and you're going to just open it up. You're going to do large circles while your legs are staying still. So you can see that my legs are attempting to sit still. So I'm not doing my circles through my hips. I'm doing them through my ankles. And now reverse. Bringing your toes together and apart. Okay. All right. So another option, bend your knees. And we're going to use this as an example. Well, I might be able to use, I don't think I can do this with my socks on. So we're going to basically pick up, I can't do it with me. Might have to use a towel. Guess what? I have a towel in here. No surprise, it's a superhero towel because I want to be a superhero. Superman. All right. So if you sit down, this is a great exercise for people who have sprained their ankle. It's going to help you heal faster. Whether you're sitting or you're sitting on your butt and you're on the ground, or if you're sitting on a chair. What you're going to do is you're going to, no, I can't do it. You're going to grab the towel and you're basically going to pull it towards you. This is funny because I can't get the towel. I can't pick up the towel with my toes. All right, let's see if I can do it sitting. My towel's too soft. I can't grip it. For example, basically you are just crawling with your feet, pulling that towel back. This is a soft towel. I'm not able to do this. But you're extending your feet and pulling it back. You're grasping it. It's getting there. It's extremely slow. Maybe it's all in my imagination, but it's happening. Okay, so there's one way to strengthen it. You will really feel it right here. It'll get tired right at the top of your foot. Okay. All right, so now let's move back to a couple other options. I'm putting my socks back on because it's cold. And I don't like being cold. And we are working out. So we need our muscles warm. We're stretching, working out. All right, roll it back. All right, get yourself situated. All right, lower back is on the ground. When you're first starting off, make sure you're bending your knee and planting your foot on the ground. So your whole foot is on the ground. You're gonna lift your, in this case, my right leg, and I'm going to point my foot. So when I lift, I'm breathing out, keeping my lower back on the ground. I'm pointing my toe, and here I am doing leg circles. Now this time when I'm doing my leg circles, I am doing the circles straight out from my hips. Whereas when I was doing the ankle circles, it was right at my ankles. And now reverse. Do about 5 to 10 on each side. This is really going to build a strong girdle around your core, your lower back, as well as your front. All right, switch legs, again pointing, and that's going to help protect your back from strains. You may be able to go all the way out here. The important thing is that you're not swinging your body, that you are just rotating out the hip. And everybody's going to have a little bit different flexibility. Okay? About 5 to 10, and I am not counting, so I have no idea where I'm at, but well, let's just guess that I'm close. Now, the stronger you are, you can lengthen this leg out, but you can see that as for myself, once I lengthen this leg out, my circle is smaller. Otherwise, my body is shaking them around, and I want to have full control of my body. So, here you go. Okay, great way to start. All right, roll back up, vertebrae by vertebrae, help yourself up, and then balance. Balancing is fantastic. You can do it first, always start balancing one leg and then the other, and then you can go on to balancing with your legs closed, or legs with your eyes closed. Oh my gosh, eyes closed, all right? So 30 seconds to a minute on each side. And then you're rotating the other foot, 30 seconds to a minute. There you go. Okay, now you also have, don't forget to do the close. I fell yesterday, so not quite, but I tried to. All right, onto your tippy toes. This is a great stretch. And then roll down. Try and slow it down a little bit. If you need to use something to brace yourself, a chair, something that'll help, and then you rock back onto your heels. It's just a massage for your feet, as well as strengthening your ankles and working your calves. Don't forget, next Monday at 4 p.m. Central, we will be on our Facebook channel. We'll have more to discuss. If you missed last week's discussion on our ELDs, we're transitioning from our AOBRD device to our ELDs. So if you missed last week's, you can check it out on our YouTube channel. You can also check it out on our Facebook channel. Facebook.com/DTL Inc. All right, now you can move on to the calf stretch, where you're going to squat down, knees behind your toes. It's going to be hard because you're going to be really compact here. Knees behind your toes. You're going to go up on your toes, hold it, and down on your heels. Up on your toes, and down on your toes. You're going to feel the stretch right around here. And back up. There you go. All right, so that's more calf stretches. Also, next Tuesday, just like today at noon Central, you're going to have another YouTube Live. So join us there. You should probably subscribe if you haven't already so that you don't miss every week, because We're here. Alphabet. You guys ever done the alphabet with your feet? It's always what the doctors tell you. So you're going to spell the alphabet. I don't care if you spell the, well, I don't think you spell the English alphabet, it's the only one I can do, but spell the alphabet, whether it's capital letters, lowercase, whatever. You're doing it with your foot as you're pointing. So whether you are sitting on a bench, sitting on a chair, and putting your foot out in front of you, whatever, or if you're laying down. So if you are laying down, again, I'm rolling down, lifting my leg, you can bend this leg, you can keep it straight, doing the alphabet. So A, B, it's like cursive capital letters, but not. E, clearly I'm very good at E, F, and all the way through the alphabet. And then rotate to your other leg, do the same thing. I didn't go all the way to Z, so you guys notice that? My foot is cracking. All the way through. We do have a couple positions left in our Lamar's run if you guys are interested. And you can give us a call. There are only night shifts available right now. So get a hold of one of our recruiters at 888-668-0698. And they'll give you some more details on that. That's a Lamar's, Iowa to Sioux Falls, South Dakota run. It's ice cream. And it runs, that's a 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift, $300 per shift. We also have some short haul runs, that's flatbed, gets you home about every other day approximately. It's multiple times a week, and it just depends. One week might get you home every other day, one week might be every 2 days, but multiple times a week as well as on the weekends. If you want more details on that, let us know. The pay starts at 41 cents a mile, and it goes up a penny per mile after 90 days, and then every year on your anniversary until it tops out. And what else do we have for that one? So that is our short haul, and that's more of a confined area where we also have our guaranteed pay in our flatbed division. We also have guaranteed pay in the refrigerated division. If you're interested in either one of those, they are within the Midwest. So if you live along I-80 from Omaha to Chicago, and you're interested in that one, that's going to be Midwest refrigerated guaranteed pay. Or if you live from Sioux Falls, South Dakota to Chicago, along I-90, without saying Madison. Madison is not going to work, but the rest of it will. Then give us a holler. We'll give you more details on that. That number again is 888-668-0698. And you can apply online at drivedecker.com. But if you want to give one of the recruiters a call, they'll be able to be more specific based off of your area and let you know all the details right up front. The flatbed we hire from Mason City, Iowa to Fort Dodge to Chicago, Illinois, up to Milwaukee, back down to Mason City. So if you live along that route, then you'll be available for the Midwest flatbed guaranteed pay. Flatbed guaranteed pay is $13.50 a week. The Midwest refrigerated guaranteed pay is $12.50 a week. And you know, the more miles you get, the more pay you get per mile as well. So say you get the minimum amount of miles, then don't worry, you're going to get that $12.50 a week as long as you've got 100% on-time delivery, no driver service failures, you're available for dispatch, and you get all your paperwork in. So those are the requirements for the guaranteed pay. Now, if the number of miles that you run exceed what you would make at, say, in the refrigerated at, say, $12.50, then you're going to get the better of the two. So if you're going to work harder, you're going to get paid more. So always good. So again, the telephone number to the recruiting department is 888-668-0698. They'll give you some more details on that. Anything else that I'm missing with we've got our refrigerated positions out of Missoula, Montana. Now I've got the over-the-road refrigerated, great miles, top-of-the-line equipment, just like the rest of Decker here. And if you're looking to get weekly home time, we do have a couple options if you live in the Los Angeles area. Kennewick, Washington, Seattle, Washington, or Missoula, Montana. But you do need to live within about 50 miles of those locations If you're within 50 miles of Missoula, you need to leave the tractor trailer in Missoula on your home time. And that is weekly. Those are weekly. I only have about 4 of those positions, 3 or 4 of those positions available right now. Call a recruiter if you want more details. 888-668-0698. All righty. Well, don't forget about our local in Bessemer, Alabama. It's $17 an hour. It is flatbed. We require flatbed experience for that one. Now, we do train for flatbed in some of our other divisions, our other flatbed divisions, but this local position, we do require experience. So that one is also 888-668-0698. And they are there standing by waiting to visit with you. All right, you guys, I am so thankful that you took the time to be with us today. And don't forget to be with us next week. We'll go over additional information going on here at Decker Truckline. Again, our Facebook channel is facebook.com/DTL Inc. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you don't miss any additionals. We'll get you a new ELD, AOBRD transition questions, answers for you, a little bit more of a discussion so you know what to do and how to be prepared as we make that transition here before the 1st of June. Now, ELD mandate says that it has to be done by December 16th of 2019, but we're on top of it. We're a little ahead of the game. We were grandfathered in with the AOBRD device, but now we're getting up to that ELD. So if you guys have any questions, let us know. Again, you can reach us at 888-668-0698. We look forward to visiting with you guys. And thank you so much for spending the time today. Take care, you guys. Very large.